Hello and welcome everyone to Expedition Online Season 2. Day 15, the finale!
We made it!
We did it! What an explosive season we have had. A wild ride. We are down to our final 3. We've got Daniel, who's been in the big alliance the entire game. Once it fell apart, he played 2 compasses, won a couple of extension challenges to keep himself safe, has gotten himself now to the finals. We've got Justin, started off on the bottom, has risen all the way up to the top now. He's made some big moves along the way, definitely some big splashes, but he's also put a lot of people out the door, so we're going to have to see how that plays out. And then we've got Rob, the dark horse of the evening, has played a very quiet game, has never really been in trouble throughout, has made himself all the way to the end. Going to be interesting to see what he has to say. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We've got 3 great finalists here, and they're going to put on a show for us, no doubt.
Absolutely. I can't wait to get to that final ascent.
So I don't know that it's quite sunk in yet, but I won the challenge. We voted Gideon off. I have made it to the final ascent. So I really have this mixed excitement with just this drained feeling. But going into tomorrow, I know I need to figure out what I'm going to pitch to the jury. I think I need to own my game, which is that middle ground between I made the strategic plays that I needed to, but I didn't start making flashy plays just for the sake of making flashy plays or for just having a resume. I stuck true to a number of allies throughout the game. You know, I made the bonds with Rob and Maddie and Garrett early on, never wrote down any of their names. And so we're just going to have to see what the jury respects at the end of the day.
Oh my god. The game has now played out how I wanted it to for the longest time. I was telling Daniel just before that the reason his name... I had never told them this. I didn't want them to know because I didn't want them to want me out even more. But I finally told them that the reason Dakota put his name down at that first vote was because I had originally attempted to make a flip and take him out. And it's just so ironic to me knowing that my game started where I was saying it's going to be me or Daniel who's going to be the first person out of this game because I'm going to make it happen. And at this point, no offense to Rob, but I do believe the game is going to come down to me or Daniel is going to win. And it's just crazy to me that that's how my game ended up going. Gotta hope that the jury isn't too mad at me. If they are, don't really feel like having people tell me that I'm a bad person because I voted them out of the game. But I'm hoping that they just realize nothing was personal, which it wasn't. It was all game moves. And, oh god, it's just such a relief. The strategic part of the game is basically over. I don't have to think anymore of numbers. I don't have to think if this person does this, if this person does this, what is their best move, what is my best move. I'm no longer playing the strategic game. I am now trying to convince people why my strategic game was the winning one. And it is just such a relief, because I don't think I've slept well the last 4 nights. I don't think I'll sleep well tonight, but I'll probably sleep better. But yeah, it is nice to be done voting people out.
I think I've done a pretty good job so far of convincing everyone I am a GOAT to be brought along to the finals. I have placed my own name down as the negative trait in the touchy subjects trivia game, where we kind of had to each do word association on each of the people in the game, and I made sure to put myself down as fake or clueless so that I could make sure that I was able to milk on those opportunities later on, make myself feel like a threat or feel like I'm a target so that my allies could keep me in. And so I think that I am a little bit more of a threat than these other 2 realize. And that's going to be something that I'm really going to have to sharpen up on, or sharpen my final speech on, to make sure that my point really does come across, and make sure that I am owning my game fully so that people realize that it was a mistake to bring me to the end, regardless of how they may have viewed the moves up until this point.
Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right over to the final ascent, where we have the host of Expedition Online, Doc, sitting with our final three, Daniel, Justin, and Rob. Take it away, Docs.
Welcome to the final ascent. We're here with our final three, Daniel, Justin, and Rob. The game shifts tonight. We're going from voting people out. It's in the jury's hands. They are going to decide on the winner of Season 2 Expedition Online. The way this is going to work, we're going to give each of you three finalists 3 minutes to open. Then each jury is going to have 5 minutes to address you, and you can respond to their questions and their comments. And then we're going to have closing statements by each of you. We'll decide the order for the opening statements based on how many votes you received this year. Daniel, you had the fewest votes, so you get to decide if you want to go first with your opening statement, which means you would go, and then we do the opposite. So you would go first and last, or last and first.
I'll go first in the opening statement and then last in the conclusion.
All right, so we're going to start out. We'll go Daniel, then Rob, then Justin with the opening statements, and then we'll close it Justin, Rob, Daniel. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, just let me know when to lead us off.
All right. Whenever you're ready, Daniel, you can give us your opening statements.
All right. So I entered this game and I wanted to make real, empathetic connections while still being able to play a strategically sound game. I said from the very beginning on day 0 that I would do my best to try to make everyone's voice heard. And while I don't think I was always successful at that, I do think I made a pretty good faith effort and I tried to hear a lot of you out. With that said, there certainly are some of you who I wish I could have gotten to know better, notably Gabe and Garrett, who both due to circumstances from the swaps as well as some of my own social awkwardness, I unfortunately didn't get to know as much as I would have liked. And while I managed to make my way to the end, it was way harder to set emotions aside than I thought it would be. I think a really good example of that was the Final Four Crossroads, when Gideon and I both had our emotions get up at one another, despite there really being a strong mutual respect between the two of us, at least in my opinion. But despite the conflicts and emotions that came up, I felt I, along with my alliance members, had a good grasp of the game, and I really feel I took agency over how a lot of the game went. Aside from the Jared and Maddie vote-outs, I was on the right side of the numbers for every elimination, and even one of those was the spinning wheel, so I was really only blindsided for that one vote. I also helped to find advantages to further my position and the positions of my allies, and I think the most notable example of that was being able to find the shortcut and get that to Jared, so I could get both one of my strongest allies as well as someone who could help me have the numbers going into a rendezvous. With that said, there's no one in this game who everything went perfect for, and that includes me. And so I had to be adaptable at times. After the Jared vote, I was able to play from the bottom and use advantages and some social acumen to try to even things out and put myself back into a better position. With all that said, I think the best move I made all game was putting together a tight alliance from the very beginning. I found people to truly and genuinely trust in a game where it's nearly impossible to trust people, to the point where Maddie, Rob, and I were all willing to go to rocks for each other. To be clear, none of the vote-outs I helped orchestrate were personal. I did them all because I thought it was the best move for my game and for the game of my allies. And I think that, it's important to separate what happens in the game from anything from real life. I tried to keep decisions and conversations based on things in the game, but I'm also aware that all conversations are influenced by things like power dynamics, inherent privilege, and biases that we've picked up during our lives. And I think that can be exacerbated in a game that can encourage tribalism and othering. I understand that to that point, there can be a lot of hurt that may remain from either moves I made or conversations I've had with you. So if that is the case, I'm happy to clear the air either tonight in this venue or in private after the game. So I thank you for hearing me out, and I look forward to providing whatever information I can to help you make your decision tonight.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Rob, time for your opening statements. Sorry.
All right. Hey, everyone. Before I get into the meat of my opening speech, I just wanted to start off saying I've had an amazing time playing this season, and I've really enjoyed playing with all of you. As you guys have probably seen by now, my journey this season has not been a flashy one. I instead relied on my social relationships with other explorers and the trust in the alliances that I had built over time instead of being a physical threat and making splashy strategic moves. At the beginning of this season, we all received advice from our captains, Ethan telling us to keep our mouth shut, Janet telling us to get to know who people are instead of making them get to know us. Now, typically, I'm pretty outspoken and unfiltered, and I knew I had to be careful in order to make the best impression and hopefully go far. So I followed their advice to listen and learn from other explorers before trying to insert my own opinions anywhere. With this approach, I managed to develop a 3-person strong alliance with Daniel and Maddie pretty early on in the game. But even with these two by my side, I chose to exaggerate my paranoia at Crossroads in order to appear as if I was on the outs of any major alliances, prevent a future target on my back, and downplay the game that I knew I was playing. My greatest physical success, however, was definitely during our final party challenge, where my skill with slide puzzles allowed my party to win and exert a major influence at Crossroads where the other party was vulnerable. Without this win, my team would not have been able to use the shortcut on Jared, a compass on Justin, who's sitting here tonight, and end Hannah's expedition, setting up the original Team Janet for a majority presence entering the rendezvous. Now, as we moved into the rendezvous, I followed a second piece of Janet's advice, and shifted my gameplay as we entered a new phase of the game. I began to open up more to other explorers instead of just keeping my mouth shut, so I could hopefully build more meaningful social relationships with everyone. Now, it's no secret I did not win a single individual exemption and found nary one compass. And so the big downfall of that was that I was vulnerable at every single crossroads, a position that I externally was paranoid about. But internally, I knew that my allies would come through for me, and the social relationships I developed on the other side had also assured me how they had fought on my behalf to prevent me from being their group's target several times. Of course, the time that I was the most vulnerable was also the time that I proved my loyalty and allegiance the most, when we chose to go to the wheel instead of sending Daniel to the jury. Now, I've been asked at Crossroads if this was a moment that I should have gone back and flipped, but I was, and I still am, more than willing to accept a third of a chance of going to the jury than a 100% chance of backstabbing one of my closest allies here. Further, without a doubt, my insistence on going to Rux with a 3-person pool was my riskiest game move that ultimately ended up ensuring my place in the final 3, while exemplifying the loyal game that I'm proud to have played and said that I would be playing from day 0. And I hope that you all see that and write me down as the winner of Expedition Online Season 2. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thanks, Rob. Let's throw it to Justin.
Okay, so coming into this game, I didn't really know how to use Discord, so I feel like it was starting at a bad spot, but I always was ready to play hard. And because we won the first 2 challenges, we didn't really have to, or at least I didn't have to play that hard or scheme or anything. And it wasn't until the 3rd night that the game really started to take place when Dakota went home. And originally it was going to be 7 people on one, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, there has to be a bigger alliance in this group somewhere, and you're not part of it, Justin, so you have to try and flip this around. And that's when I made my first alliance in this game with Jennifer, and we were ready to flip this game, but we weren't able to talk to enough people, so we had to nix that and just go with the plan. And then after that is when I got put in a really bad spot at the swap, and that was the first time I think everyone saw how hard I was playing this game when I tried to turn the numbers around and put myself in an alliance of a cross-party group of 4. But because of the way the numbers split out, I think I was fighting an uphill battle that I was never going to win because no one wanted to be the first one to cross that line. So not only did I lose that opportunity to get a real alliance, but I lost my only ally in this game. So after that moment, I was on my own, and when we finally got to the rendezvous, I realized, okay, I can potentially take control of this game at some point and have more say in it, but I needed to get down to a certain number in order to do that. So until that time, I had to lay low, and I had to make sure no one was going to say my name as a potential vote, because I knew without having an ally that was ever going to come to me and say, hey, you're in trouble, we need to turn this around. If my name came up, I was done. So during the challenge where we had word association, I even put myself as clueless because I wanted everyone to think at that time I wasn't playing. it was a waste of a vote to put your vote on Justin. Until finally the time came when I could make my move, and that was at Final 8. And from Final 8 to the end of this game, I played hard, and I played in the open, and I played in a way that I think I was able to steer this game in a way that gave me the best opportunity to win. I relied on big moves, I relied on good timing, and I relied on some luck, especially when I went to the wheel. But I went to the wheel because I knew I never wanted to put my game in someone else's hands. And the alliance of Rob, Daniel, and Maddie, not forcing one of them to potentially go, was putting my game in their hands at that point. So I know that there was times when I played sneaky, and I know there was times when I played loud, but I just hope you can all respect that from the beginning of this game, I was playing hard and I was playing to win. But more importantly, I really hope everyone knows that every move I made was only intended as a move that I thought I needed to make to get to this point in the game. It was never anything personal against a single one of you.
All right, thank you, Justin. Thank you, all three of you, for your opening statements. We will turn it over to the jury. Garrett, you're up.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Overall, I thought you all played a really great game. Obviously, you three are sitting here, so you have a shot at winning. So congratulations on making it. It's not easy to do what you all did. That being said, that's really only half the battle. The other half is making sure that you have built the connections and played a good enough game to get votes at the very end. So my question for each of you is, what votes do you think you have based off the game you played? What votes do you think you have coming into this tribal council? And we'll do it in reverse chronological order. So I'll do, or reverse alphabetical, sorry. We'll start with Rob first.
I'm not sure what votes I have, because in my head I wasn't thinking about I want to put people on the jury who are going to specifically vote for me to win. My game was much more about I want to make sure that I am able to be at the final three. I would like to think that, you know, Jared and Maddie and Kyle and Ryan would consider voting for me, but I wouldn't be so presumptuous to assume that I've got their votes locked in by any means.
All right, and then Justin, who do you think you got?
Yeah. The only person that I would say at this point that I'm not expecting it because I think I deserve it from my perspective, is Gideon, only because he said last Crossroads, Justin has my vote if I go home. So he's the only person that I truly think right now, I'm like, okay, hopefully he was not just using that as a way to get me out, and he did respect my game as another person who played this game like very hard, and he was honest with that, I guess, pitch to try and take me out. Other than that, I don't know who I definitely have, and I don't know anyone that I feel like I'm like, I don't think they'll ever vote for me. I think it really is going to come down to tonight, if I'm being honest.
All right, and Daniel.
Sure, so it's a little hard to judge exactly what each jury member is going to value, but I know that the people who I really got an opportunity to work very closely with, and who I didn't have to ultimately vote against, were Jared and Maddie. So if I had to throw out names, I'd probably name them. But, you know, I know at the same time we have a lot of Ethan votes out there who are staring at 3 Janets right now, so those votes could be up in play. And then, you know, we have people like Kyle as well, who we've gotten to play with, but whose name we also wrote down. So I think it'll be interesting to see what people value and what kind of mood they're in tonight.
All right, well, thank you all so much. The only thing I'll say is, based off of your answers, for me, it's coming off as you all were just trying to get to the end, which is great. So please make sure that you really define what you did that you think is better than the other two, because it's still up in the air. It really is. A lot of people are still on the fence. So please be very specific on what you think is better about the other 2 people sitting with you, because that's how you're going to lock in some of these last votes that are still on the fence. Other than that, good luck. I know it's a tough spot that you all are in, but obviously you all want to win. So I know you're looking forward to it. Other than that, I got nothing else.
Thanks, Garrett.
All right, thank you, Garrett. Gideon, time to address the finalists.
Yes, what is going on, everybody? It's good to see you guys. I don't really have any questions for you, just really statements. Rob, you kind of labeled yourself as a GOAT, and yeah, that's true. I don't really see how you're going to get any votes tonight. Daniel, as far as you go, man, you said that I wasn't going to bully you into voting a certain way. You're not going to bully me tonight into voting your name down, so yeah, sorry, not going to happen. All right. Justin, you're a spaz, okay? And before that Jared vote, a lot of people did see you as clueless. What you need to do tonight, from the 24 hours that I've spent on the jury, is a lot of people don't really know your game because they didn't get to play with you like I did. I know you played the better game out of these three people. I know you did. And you know that you have my vote. What you need to do is convince everybody else on the jury the method to your madness. Because you played this game like a crazy person, but when it came down to making the moves, you were calm, cool, collected, and you were a stone cold killer. So tonight, what you need to do is you need to explain why you played like a freaking crazy ape, but why you're deserving out of all of these people. Okay? Because we've had a crazy and a wild experience here on Expedition Online, and my plea to the jury would be there is nobody better to be picked as a winner than a crazy and wacky guy like Justin. So he should be representing us, and you really need to explain how you played your game tonight. Great job, Justin.
All right, thank you, Gideon. Maddie, you're up.
Hey guys, good to see you guys again. You guys should be really, really proud. You did what the rest of us couldn't do, and you're sitting here. I know it's a tough position to be in. I think you all played very, very different games, but very respectable games. None of our games are without fault. So my question tonight is, what is your biggest mistake that you made playing this game? And do you regret that mistake? And I'm going to start with Justin.
My biggest mistake, I would say, was I think I should have tried to save Kyle when he went home, because I think with everyone turning on him at that vote, that would have been my one opportunity to actually pull someone in that I could say, look, I got your back. And I think maybe showing him everyone turned on him may have made him trust me over everyone else in this game. So that's, I think, my biggest mistake. As far as regretting it, I don't think I can regret any move, because at the time I still feel like I had to play a very low-key game, because had I made that choice to save Kyle and try and get him as my only ally basically in the game at that time, if I had made that move and it failed and I couldn't save him, then I become a target like I knew I couldn't be at that time, because I didn't have anyone watching my back. So I can't say I regret it, but I do think that was probably the biggest mistake that I made.
Thanks. Rob?
I think my biggest regret is going to have to be from the round where Jared got voted out. I wish I'd fought harder to keep our votes on Ryan, who, as we now know, did not have an heirloom that was available to him that night. And I think by instead having our votes be on Justin, that actually started tilting Justin into kind of working against us moving forward, and ultimately voting to tie with Ryan at the subsequent rounds, and which got you out of the game. And so I think if we had stuck with the Ryan vote, even if we didn't get him out that round, it would have shown Justin that he was a stronger member of the Alliance than we showed our hands to be.
Thanks. Daniel?
I think my biggest mistake was at the rendezvous not making more of an effort to reach across the aisle. I was happy to have the numbers, and I think I took that for granted a bit, but honestly, in life, one of the things I find most challenging is going up to somebody who I don't really know that well, introducing myself and trying to talk to them. And, you know, we now have Garrett and Gabe over there, who I really feel like I didn't get much of a chance to talk to. And so both on a human level, I didn't get to meet a couple of people, but also on a game level, it really limited my options and kind of forced me to just stay Janet strong, at least for a while, rather than really keeping different avenues of support open.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I wish you all the best of luck and fight hard tonight, because I think there's a lot of votes that are still up in the air. So,
thanks, Maddie.
Justin, are you trying to jump in, or?
I don't know how it works, like if I'm allowed to comment on someone else's answer or not. If not,
There's still time left on the clock, and you guys can jump in. We have 5 minutes.
Just because during Rob's answer, part of his answer was about my gameplay also, and I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to tell everyone how that move actually went down from my perspective, which was I never planned on voting any way other than Jared that Crossroads. I went into it, and I'm pretty sure within the first 3 minutes after the challenge, I got Ryan, Chantal, and Gideon, and I said, I'm willing to right now vote with you guys to force this to a rock, because that's when I knew 8 was the moment that if I was able to get the numbers the way they panned out, which was 3 Ethans and 4 Janets, that was my chance to start taking control. Like I had said, I was laying low until that moment. So there was nothing, them putting their votes on me isn't what turned me against them. That's when I saw my opportunity to try and turn this game in a favor of myself.
I still believe that it was a regret to not fight to have the votes not be on you, because I think no matter what, you could say not seeing or seeing your name wasn't going to make an impact. It does leave an impact, you know. I know I had been freaking out about who could have potentially flipped and voted me at the Gabe vote out. And so I'm just saying that was a regret that I have across the game, and I think we would have kept you, or maybe not kept you, but shown you that you were a stronger member of the Alliance than we revealed with that vote.
So if I may add something, I think it should be noted Justin actually never had any intention of working with me in the game. One thing that he and I actually discussed even over the last 24 hours was that from literally day one, Justin was actually gunning for me. That's why Dakota voted for me, is because he told her to. And so Justin actually was playing really hard the whole way, as he said, but what should be noted is one of his big allies was Jennifer, who was actually closer to me than she was to him. And the other move is that Justin, despite correctly identifying me as a huge threat on day one, instead of getting me out, is sitting right here next to me.
I will say, though, you say Jennifer was closer to you than she was to me. But like you just said, you didn't know why you got Dakota's vote. Jennifer did. She never told you. So you can claim, if she was closer to you than me, personally, I would think she would have went to you and said, just so you know, Justin put your name out there. She never did.
Yeah, because that vote happened and then we swapped and she was out of the game before I could talk to her again.
Okay.
I mean, we all went back for an hour after.
And sat together in the shelter.
That's time, guys. Thank you for your question, Maddie. Gabe, you're up.
What's up, guys? First off, I want to say congrats on making it to the final 3. I feel like I've seen a little bit of everyone's gameplay, and I want to say, good job. You guys played really strong, and I admire that. But I do have 2 questions for you guys, and I think we'll go in alphabetical order. Daniel, Justin, and then Rob. My first question is, what are the worst game traits or character traits of the other 2 playing against tonight?
Okay. So I actually think that me, Justin, and Rob sort of shows a nice spectrum of the game. I think you have Justin, who's all the way on one extreme, where he's willing to make so many crazy moves, he doesn't even know why he's making the crazy moves anymore. I mean, we had an easy vote out on day 1, and he is trying to play it's the final 5 when it's day 1. He's willing to burn everyone, and it's all strategy. You then have Rob on the other end, who is a wonderfully loyal person and with whom I hope I can really develop a long friendship after this. But at the end of the day, he was more than happy to just vote with me and to not really make a move. And So I think I found that nice Goldilocks point in the middle where I was willing to make moves when I had to make them. I was willing to stick my neck out and take heat, but I wasn't making moves just for the heck of it.
I do think Rob did play purely like the social. I'm not saying it's a bad gameplay, but I don't think Rob ever had any control of the game. So he relied heavily on, I think, alliances, like he said. So that's, I think, the aspect he was missing. I think Daniel's, I forget how you phrased it, worst aspect. I think it's pandering, to be honest. I think since a couple votes ago, everyone who's been getting ready to be voted out, Daniel has been very much, you're the man, I want to talk to you after this. And it's come off very, to me, pandering for jury votes. And I get it, I have played hard. And I do like everyone here, but I'm not going to pander and try and convince someone to vote for me just because I know they're going to the jury. And also to rebuttal what Daniel did say, I never made a move just to make a move. I had to lay low in the beginning of the rendezvous because I knew I was in trouble if my name came up. The first vote to try and flip on you was because I knew I was in the bottom of that tribe, and you even said you from day one had a 3-person alliance, and my mentality was if I'm on the bottom of a 7-person group and there's 4 people, my game's not in my own hands, it's in someone else's hands. And like I said, the reason I went to that wheel, the reason that I was originally targeting you, I never wanted my game to be put in the hands of someone else. So yes, I made moves throughout this game, but they were never just to make a move. It was always because I wanted to have control of my own game.
You have anything else to add, or I just don't want to encroach on your time? Okay, so I would say, Daniel, you've been great to play with, but you did have a habit of kind of forcing your will on the alliance votes. There is an instance where I know Maddie had talked with Chantal and had gotten information about, hey, let's potentially make a move on Kyle tonight, which you had dismissed almost out of hand, causing the Garrett vote out. And so that was a move that I don't want to say was ill thought out, but it was kind of a unilateral decision that left a couple folks out in the dark, feeling like they were, not dirt or anything, but just kind of flailing in the wind. Justin, I'm talking a lot about my own game as loyal, and I know people are taking that to mean GOAT. And you did do everything you could to kind of own your path in the game. That's great. But you also were completely willing to take people and what they could do for you and then immediately burn them as soon as it became inconvenient for your time in the game. We saw that happen with with the last 2 members of the jury, Gideon and Ryan, where you had actually relied on their votes in order to get Jared out before and put yourself in a bigger place. And then as soon as they became inconvenient and you saw that they may be a threat to win, you worked with us to cut them immediately. And that's going to be the fault that I see in your gameplay.
All right, cool. I don't know how much time we have left, but my second question, we'll go backwards. We'll go backwards alphabetical. But of the other 2 you're playing against tonight, who do you think should win, if not yourself, and why?
And
Daniel,
let's make it quick.
I think Daniel should win. I mean, I went to the wheel for him.
If it can't be me, I would say Daniel deserves it over me. Sorry. I would say Daniel deserves it over Rob, but I also think he deserves second place compared to me.
Yeah, if I need to write a name down to break a tie, I'll be writing Rob's name.
All right, cool. It was nice hearing you guys' response. Good luck. GG.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Gabe. Chantal, time for you to address the jury.
Beautiful people. Well, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to all of you. Well, some more than others, but nonetheless, congratulations. Some of you played an incredible loyal game, while others just flip-flop back and forth all the way to finale. First off, I'm going to start with Rob. Not sure what you did all season. Not sure how you got to finale, but somehow you're here, and I have to give you credit where credit is due, and you were super loyal to your 3. Anything else related to the game? I have no idea. I haven't, hopefully you can explain it to me today. Daniel, kudos to you on the final stretch, getting me out, getting Maddie out, getting Gideon out, and while winning exemption along the way. Great move. Finding out that you made multiple final 3 deals with multiple people, and throwing them all the way at the end, I really commend you for that. Like, bravo. Justin. I feel like I have like a love-hate relationship with you. Like, I really wanted to work with you from day 1, and because you're Scorpio, it was like, yes, we can understand each other. But what changed my mind was that you were too frantic. When you won exemption, you were on a power trip. Like, nobody could understand where you were at. And pretty much speaking out when you really didn't need to speak out. But somehow you made it to finale, and that amazes me as well. So all of you guys played incredibly different games, and that's amazing. I do have separate questions for each and every one of you. And the first person I'm going to start with, which, Rob, I know you touched on it in the beginning, but I just want you to touch on it again. I want to know, what is your biggest move in the game and why? Because some people feel like you floated all the way to finale.
I would say one of the biggest moves was during the final party elimination or exemption challenge, where because I was able to pull through on the slide puzzle, we were able to actually control the rest of the rendezvous by getting a majority Janet alliance. If it weren't for me, and if it were someone else doing the slide puzzle up there, I don't know what would have happened. We probably would have had to call it a tie or something. Other than that, though, the other big move I had was, at the going to the wheel, I could have easily gone back and flipped on my alliance, which you probably would have attacked if I still had made it to the final. But that wasn't a game that I wanted to do, and also knowing that Daniel had a compass in his pocket, it kind of meant to me that there was a potential immunity if he or I had won the exemption the following round, which would have then guaranteed both of us kind of carrying our way over into the final 3. And for those people who are saying that I floated by on the strengths of my alliances, yes, I did rely a lot on the alliances and the social bonds that I built. That was part of my game, and I have no shame about that.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. Okay, my next question. Daniel. Okay, I wasn't sure what I was going to ask you, so I'm going to ask the same question that Jeff Kent asked in Survivor Philippines, and that was, there are 3 kinds of people. People that make things happen, people that watch things happen, and people that wondered what the hell happened. And what I want to know, which one are you? And give me an example in the game as to which one you were.
Well, at some point, I've probably been all of those, but I think on the grand scheme of things, I was someone that made things happen, and I'm actually glad I get the opportunity to talk about this, because I'd like to address the Garrett vote out and the subsequent fallout from that, because I think that's probably both what caused an initial rupture in my relationship with you, as well as a criticism that Rob levied against me in the last question. So Rob had suggested that I was very strongly against voting out Kyle at Final 10. That's absolutely true, and I stand by that move. I think that, we saw the second Kyle got voted out, my name was on the chopping block. I know you, Chantal, had thrown my name out as a threat, which is totally fair. So I don't at all regret saving Kyle there. What I do regret was the way I treated you and the way that I felt dismissive, the way that I believe I was dismissive of you after that vote. I know you and I have already touched on this, but I was making a really strong effort to keep things within the game, and I think that that's kind of the one instance in this game that I really may have crossed the line into being rude to someone as a person rather than just, talking about the game. So I did want to address that regardless of the game itself, you deserve to be treated better than I treated you after that vote.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel. Last but certainly not least, Justin. Okay, so since the swap, you said that you've been on the bottom since the beginning, and now you're on the top, okay? Leaving us majority, Team Ethan, on the bottom. Now, with that being said, now that the tables have turned, and now that majority Team Ethan is on jury, do you think you did a good job at jury management?
I think I did the best job I could in order to give my best chance to win this game. I came into this game, and the thing I wanted to try and do the most was be self-aware and know who I could and couldn't beat. And from the moment we got to the rendezvous, I was looking at the people left, and I was like, can't beat them, can't beat them, can't beat them, can't beat them. These are the two people that I am sitting next to now that I truly believed I had the best chance to beat. So, yes, I worked with all the Ethans, and I did use you guys' numbers at times, but it was never personal, and I didn't think I could beat any of you in the end. And the reason I had to use those numbers to get next to these two is, like they said, they had their tight group. They had Maddie with the two of them. I had zero chance to be sitting in a position against these two if I just coasted to the end with them and never had to use the Ethan votes to get me here with them. I needed to take out Jared and I needed to take out Maddie in order to sit in the final three the only final three I truly believe I can have a chance at winning. So, did I do an amazing job at jury management? Maybe not, but I do think it's the game I had to play to give myself the best chance at winning it in the end.
Perfect. Thank you guys all for your beautiful answers. Just want you to know that you guys all did a great job, and I can't wait to talk to you all after this.
All right, thank you, Chantal.
Thank you.
Ryan, he knows it's his turn.
So, congratulations to the three of you. You fought tooth and bone to get here, and you deserve your spot. Despite what anyone says, you made it here, and I commend you for that. I have one question for Rob individually, and I have one question for each of the three of you guys. So, Rob, as you brought up, when we went to the wheel, you could have switched your vote and taken out Daniel, who's arguably a better player than you challenge-wise and maybe even social-wise. That act alone would have propelled you to another level of playing. Do you think your commitment to social relationships and loyalty to your alliance clouded your personal mission to win?
No. I actually believe that had I done that, had I flipped and voted Daniel out, I would have immediately been on the bottom of the numbers. I would have lost the trust of my other ally member in the game, Maddie. Justin, as much as you say you would have wanted to sit next to me, at that point, I don't know that I think I would have been right out immediately after.
Thank you. And I have a question that all three of you can answer, going from Daniel, Justin, and Rob. Why do you not deserve to win?
It's a good question. I think there's an argument to be made that I had, fortune on my side more than, say, Justin may have. I was put into a position where I had the numbers at both at the swap and at the rendezvous, and we all love this game. We all know that luck plays a big portion of it, so I don't think anyone's ever sat at the end of this game with luck without having some degree of luck. But I think there is an argument to be made that there are some things that went in my favor.
Thank you. All right, Justin, same question.
I think it could go back to Chantal's question to me of maybe I didn't manage the jury well enough to get the votes in the end. I still stand by that I played the only game that gave me a chance to win, but that might be the reason that I don't deserve it, is if the jury thinks that I used them for numbers and then, as I think Rob stated, threw them away when they weren't needed by me anymore. But that's not how I saw it. I didn't see the game that way, and I didn't see all of you that way. But I could see someone looking at my game and thinking that, and then thinking I don't deserve it.
Thank you. All right, Rob?
I think if I am not deserving of the game, it is because I did not make enough of a splash strategically and did not get the physical competition wins that both of my competitors here have. And so, for all the criticisms that I've heard today about being a GOAT and being floated over to the final two, I believe that was all a benefit and a badge of my social game. But if that is not where you believe or the jurors believe one of the hallmarks of Survivor is, then I don't deserve to win.
Thank you. And I actually do have one more question that I'd like Rob to answer first, then Justin, and then Daniel. So, at least from my personal feeling, things that you guys have brought up, I do think there is a lot of claiming situations were intentional and capitalizing on the actions that others have made and using others' moves and saying that they were yours. So I would like to know what moves in this game were solely yours.
It's a good question. I think, for one, I could have flipped at the wheel. I don't know if Maddie would have, so I think that was a joint decision. I'm not going to say that either of us masterminded it, but there was an opportunity for me to make a vote against Daniel secretly, and I chose not to do it.
Justin?
So I'm gonna say I don't believe any move I made was solely mine. I always needed someone else to make the move with me. I think my biggest move that was that I put into motion was the Jared vote. But again, I didn't have any advantages in the game where I could do that on my own. So I think I put the steps in motion to make that happen, but I don't think I did it on my own.
Thank you. Daniel?
Yeah, there are a couple moves that I think, in as much as any move can be independent, were fairly independently me. The first one was finding the shortcut with 5 minutes until the crossroads and then being able to scramble and find Jared, explain what was going on, and give it to him. And I strongly believe that had I not done that, Jared would have gone home that day, and it would have been bad for Team Janet. It would have been bad just because Jared is one of my biggest allies and someone I wanted to play the game with. And the other one was having the guts to hang on to my compass at Final 6. I decided that I didn't know where the votes were going, and I was willing to risk potentially having someone flip or potentially having to go to the wheel, which I would have done had the votes not initially been on me, so that I could have that compass at Final 5 and either use it to save myself or in the event of winning exemption, just give me a little more flexibility in controlling how the vote went.
Thank you. That is all I had. Best of luck to you three.
All right, thank you, Ryan. All right, Kyle, it's time for you to go.
All right, how's it going, gentlemen? First and foremost, congratulations on making the final three. That is definitely a hard task to do, and regardless of how you got there, what you did to get there, you deserve it, even if some people don't necessarily understand it or respect it. That was your choice, and it got you there, so you did better than us. At this point, my vote is actually still up in the air, and you guys have been saying a lot of good points, answering a lot of questions that I thought I had. I've actually changed my questions up twice already, just since this crossroads, so this is going to be fun. So I guess I'll start with Rob. Your biggest game move or thing is your alliances and you working with people and developing those relationships. So much to the point where at one point we had solid numbers and Ryan came over and he was kind of voting with us. Even though we had told you that he was voting against you in that Gabe vote, you still kind of took him in under your wing, which I think was a mistake. And instead, it ended up voting me out, and then you guys lost the numbers shortly after that. Can you explain how you can still keep someone in your tight circle, even though they were doing you dirty and you knew it? we told you?
Ryan came to me after the vote and swore to me up and down that he did not write my name down. While all the evidence was pointing that it was most likely him who did, I still felt that I needed to have some grace in this game to allow for, whether it's forgiveness or an opportunity to continue moving forward and work past this. I still felt that, I don't need to burn my relationship with Ryan on the sake of a potential lie about a vote, especially if he knows that coming clean may be riskier than, feigning ignorance. And so I don't see it as a stumbling block. I see it as taking advantage of an opportunity to further that relationship with Ryan and have him as a social relationship that I could leverage moving forward. And I know if I had just flat out told him, I don't believe you, that most likely would have just burnt that bridge right there.
Fair enough. Next we'll go to Justin. So Justin, you were kind of jumping back and forth. Everybody saw it. Everybody knew it. You've owned up to it. So at least you owned up to it. That's good. But after that crazy crossroads, I played my compass to save you, and you claimed that you never had a really solid alliance after Jennifer because you're constantly battling, but yet you barely even addressed it and had a conversation with me. So how can you justify me voting for you when I save you and the turnaround is you voting me out shortly afterwards? I know you couldn't necessarily save me, but you could have at least had a conversation with me and possibly built a better relationship with that.
Yeah, I do know we did have a conversation that I did thank you for it. But like I said, my game. All right, first to address the part where you were talking about like claiming I didn't have a real alliance. I believe you were playing a game similar to mine where numbers were important. So in your eyes, I don't think you ever looked at me as an ally. I think you saved me looking at me as a number that you needed to protect, because had a Janet went home there, Ethan's would have went into the rendezvous with the upper hand. So like my game ended up coming down to numbers. I think that's where you made that move. I could be wrong, but that's why I think you saved me. I don't think you ever did it in intention of, I need to save Justin. I think it was, I need to save a Janet. What was the other part? Sorry, what was the other part of the question?
That was the main part, but just to branch off what you're saying, that makes sense. But also too, I know my name was brought up before the night that I was actually voted out, so you had kind of multiple chances to address that, and you could have made me into one of your numbers, but yet you still chose not to, even though you said you thought about it.
I talked about this when Maddie asked her question of my biggest mistake, I think, in the game, and it was, I did contemplate at that point of, should I save Kyle and make us someone who probably trusts me now over everyone else? But again, the numbers at that point, I didn't have the ability to make things go the way I wanted to if you were still in the game, because I needed the Ethan and Janet numbers to be very close. And had you stayed, the only way it really benefits me is if you were willing to take out another Janet at that point. And I didn't think you ever would have done that. I think you would have first had to see they were ready to turn on you before turning on them. So in order for me to get these numbers to where I needed them to be, at a very close number where my vote was needed by both sides, I needed one of the Janets to go. So when people started pitching your name, it worked into what I needed to happen for my game. Not necessarily that it was you that I needed to go, but I needed another Janet to go in order to put myself in a position where my vote was important and not just, here's someone that I can drag along with me.
All right, sounds good. And lastly, but not least, Daniel. So you had a huge chance to be kind of like the superhero of your alliance in that final 6 where you had that compass, where you basically had a 50-50 chance of playing it on the right person, because let's face it, you weren't playing it on Rob and no one was voting for Rob, that he was going to the end regardless. So you basically had to pick between you and Maddie, and you chose not to play it and to go to the wheel where there was a 67% chance one of your alliance members was going home. How can you justify dirtying your alliance by not taking that shot? You had a chance to be the hero, but instead you more or less pushed one of your alliance members on the sword. Intentionally, unintentionally, however you want to put it.
Yeah, it's funny. That's the move that I kind of keep vacillating back and forth, and I depending on when you ask me, I'm not sure whether it was the right move, but I'd like to push back a bit on the point that they weren't going to vote Rob. My guess was that they were going to vote for Rob, because my thought of their thought process was that they were going to vote Rob so that if it was a tie, he would be exempt, and that it would be me and Maddie on the wheel. So I actually was calculating that in. I felt fairly strongly actually that they weren't going to vote for Maddie because they were talking a big game about that, but I think the calculus wasn't just how do we get to the final five. The calculus was how do the three of us get to the final three, and I think the only route I saw there was going to the wheel and having it land on Justin, because even if I'm able to save somebody, then without the compass, Gideon, I feel confident, would have found it, because the guy's like a wizard finding compasses. Ryan and Gideon were winning all the challenges at that point. So I think one of us was going one way or the other, and we just needed to hope that the wheel went our way.
All right, fair enough. I'm good.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And let's close things out with Jared.
Hello, guys. So as everyone said, first off, congratulations. I feel really fortunate that I had the opportunity to play with all of you and be aligned with all of you at one point. So for me, it's really fun because I feel like I actually know all three of you very well. And so something I want to talk about tonight is about perception. Because in this game, as we all know, perception is reality. And whether it's the truth or not can often be irrelevant. And as jury members, we don't always get the full story until we make it to the end. So what I'd like you guys to do tonight is to confirm or deny a lot of the perceptions that the jury has of you and that you've heard tonight. Similar to Kyle, I had some things that were very specific, but I feel that a lot of this ground has been covered. But I will just go to each of you. Rob, would you confirm or deny the perception that maybe your game was a little too careful and too hidden and not visible enough for the jury? And just, I guess, any other thoughts related to that if you want to elaborate a little bit.
I would confirm that my game was perhaps a bit more hidden during the game, and that's why I felt like I needed to really come through at Final Tribal so that I could make my pitch and showcase why my game was stronger than I was leading on during the actual game itself.
Okay, that's a good answer. I'm going to keep this quick, guys. We don't need a lot here. So for Justin, I think a lot of the perception is that it seemed like at a lot of points of the game, you didn't seem like you knew what was going on. And though while you came to it, there's still that perception about not enough control. And then there were some unnecessary moves that were made. Can you confirm or deny that perception based on?
Yeah, I deny that completely. I think I always had my finger on some form of pulse in this game. I don't honestly, going back, I'm pretty sure I voted for most of the people that went home. Jennifer excluding. When an advantage was played, that's kind of out of my control. There is no way I feel like I could really see that two people had compasses in one vote. So I was out of the loop on that, but my goal, I think the way that I spiked at the swap, which I think showed that I was playing. I wasn't just clueless. I knew what was happening, and I tried to make a move at that point. And when I didn't do it, and I had no one to 100% rely on, I needed to make it look like I didn't know what was happening. I wanted people to think, this guy isn't playing the game, we don't have to worry about him. Because like I said before, if my name came up, I wasn't in a position like Daniel or Rob where the other one would go to them and say, hey, your name's coming up, we got to turn this around. If my name came up, I'm gone, and I don't know about it. So while there was a time when I did play up the I'm clueless, I always knew where the votes were going, and I always knew what was happening in the game.
Okay, thanks. And lastly, for Daniel, obviously you are one of my closest allies in the game, but it seems like, and frankly, I'm going to be honest, this is why part of the reason I wanted to go to the end with you is the perception is that you didn't really take enough time to socialize with the people that weren't in our alliance and that were on the bottom. And I know Kyle just mentioned the final 6 move, but I also felt that was a little interesting just because you had been so close with Maddie and I was a little shocked to see that from the jury. So would you confirm or deny that perception is accurate?
Yeah, I mean, so the final 6 move, as I mentioned, I vacillate on, but the perception that I didn't socialize with some of the people on the other side is 100% true. I mentioned, in my opening statement, as well as I believe with to one of the other people who asked a question, that I think my biggest regret in the game is not getting to know people kind of on the other side of the aisle. I mean, I had the good fortune of being able to talk to Ryan and Gideon because they got swapped onto my tribe. But I mean, I feel like I never really got to know Garrett and Gabe, and I can blame swaps and all that, and that probably has something to do with it, but at the end of the day, I should have gone out there and I should have spoken to them more. And then to a slightly lesser degree, I think I should have reached out to Chantal earlier as well. She got further in the game. I did eventually get the chance to socialize with her, but I think by that point, we had sort of labeled one another as threats. I mean, she seemed, at least based on the information I was getting, to want me out of the game. So while I do feel I got in touch with her, I think it was perhaps a little too late. So to be honest, I think that's an incredibly valid criticism of my game.
All right. I think I have all the information that I need. So thank you guys so much. And I appreciate you guys saying that it wasn't personal, because Justin, even though you blindsided me, it was great. And I love you, brother. We spent the whole game together, so I just wanted you to know there's definitely no hard feelings either, and I was laughing when I got voted off. Rob and Daniel, I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys outside the game. I genuinely really like all these people, and no matter who wins tonight, you guys are fantastic. I want to be there so badly, especially that's my original Janet's. I'm so happy for you guys, but I want to be there, so just be so proud of yourselves, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Jared.
All right, thank you very much, jury. That was fantastic. We had such an amazing cast this season. Great job by the jury. Now it's time for our closing statements. We're going to go in reverse order, which means we're going to hear from Justin first.
Okay, I'm going to try and keep this one a little shorter. I just want to hit on 2 points that I feel like came up during the questioning. One is that I said already, I did always have my head in this game, and there wasn't a moment where I was clueless. Like I've said multiple times, I wanted people to believe that I was, because like you saw tonight, I'm pretty sure everyone can see the two of them were tight allies. I think even tonight they're still allies. And I didn't have that, so there was a point when I needed to make it look like Justin doesn't know what he's doing. The other thing I really want to mention is Chantal, you mentioned that I don't know if you used the word bully, but I know that you kind of, like, you said words about basically kind of like forced your hand and stuff, and I just want you to know, I never intended you to feel like I was pressuring you or I was forcing you to do something. I didn't, and if anyone else on the jury felt that way, I do want to apologize for that, because I never wanted people to think I was bullying them. That is never something I want to ever do. But the one time I can think that you might be thinking about was when you actually went home because of the double compass play, and I was hard pushing to keep Rob in this game, and that's who the other three of Brian, Chantal, and Gideon were trying to take out at that point. And I was pushing it hard, and the reason was because I thought if Rob goes with the people left, even if I get to the final 3, I have zero chance to win this game. I will never get the vote. So, yes, I did push very hard when I thought my option is either this is what has to happen or I am done in this game regardless of how the rest of it plays out. But again, I am truly sorry if you thought that I ever bullied you into making a move that I needed to make.
All right, thank you, Justin. Rob, your final closing argument.
All right, well, thanks all. I really appreciated hearing everyone's thoughts, especially since this was collectively our first time hearing what the jury has to say about our individual respective games. I think that the criticisms about me playing a GOAT game and being carried to the final, they're valid criticisms. I don't necessarily agree with them. I think that the fact that I was, in so many people's potential final three speaks to my strengths as a social player. And I'm ultimately proud of the game that I played. I don't have any major regrets with regards to how I treated people or how I may have trampled over people in order to make my way over to the final three. And so I'm honestly just very, very honored to be here sitting at Final Ascent next to two very strong players. And if you all are willing to value my social gameplay, I would be more than honored to receive your vote as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rob. Let's close it out with Daniel.
So first, I'd like to touch on another fatal flaw, which is seeing all you tonight. I think I'm grossly underdressed. But that aside, I think I've been pretty upfront about the fact that I don't think I played a perfect game, but I do think it's been pretty solid. And something I'd like to point out is that, unlike the other two, I don't believe I had a completely fatal flaw in my game. I think Rob did a good job being loyal, but as many of you guys have pointed out, he really didn't make a lot of moves. I mean, he can call it pushy, but at the end of the day, he was writing down names that Maddie and I wanted him to write down, and I feel like the two of us were really leading the charge. And for Justin, it's something he's brought up a number of times that I'd like to address. He talks about, well, I didn't have an alliance. I always had to play the middle. I had to pretend I'm clueless. But in my opinion, by far the most important thing that you can do in this game is to create a solid alliance from the very beginning. I got tight with Rob. I got tight with Maddie. I got tight with Jared. I got tight with Kyle. And so I certainly don't think it should be seen as a merit of Justin's game over mine that he ultimately put himself in a position where he didn't have any allies. I'd also like to point out that Justin mentioned at many crossroads that his argument against Gideon, if he got to the end, was going to be that Gideon got voted out of the game, but functionally so did Justin. The only reason he is sitting here is because Kyle played a compass on him that Justin had no idea existed. So I get it. My game was not flawless, but at the end of the day, I think I did play the best game of the three of us up here, but obviously it's up to you guys to make that decision, and if you decide to vote for somebody else, I understand, and I look forward to chatting with you about it afterward.
What a great transition. It is up to the jury to decide. So thank you guys for your closing statements. We will have the jury decide who's going to win the game. We will go to vote. Just keep in mind, jury, you are voting for one of these three finalists to win the game. We'll just go in the number order. So Garrett, you can go vote.
Wow, Jess, what a final ascent. Everyone's really fighting their cases.
The jury brought their A game tonight.
Oh, absolutely. The questions were phenomenal, right on point. They were really covering every aspect of the game. Shout out to the final three. They all fought really hard.
So it will be interesting to see where the jury's heads are at. That's for sure.
And I mean, we have 8 jury members, 4 former Team Janet, 4 former Team Ethan. I mean, this is about as a split of a jury as I think we're going to come across. We could very well see the tiebreaker, which is whoever is not part of the tie breaks that vote out of the final 3. I think anything's possible tonight. It's been such a great season. We're going to get a phenomenal ending regardless of how this goes. So what do you say we go back and see how this ends?
Let's do it.
All right, all of the votes are cast. I just want to say this was an amazing season, an amazing cast, and a great final 3. I want to thank everybody for participating and being a part of this. Shane has the votes, and Shane lives in Boston. It's going to take him a very long time to get those votes down to me.
Hi, I would like to mail a package. It's a very important package. It needs to go from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Arlington, Virginia. No, Arlington, Virginia, not Arlington, Massachusetts. Okay, and my name's Shane. No, Shane, not James. It's not James, it's Shane. This is very important. I have the votes for the hit online show Expedition Online. Oh, what? She hung up. Mad at us because Gideon is not in the finals. I guess I'm gonna have to do this myself then. Luckily, I'm at MIT where we have all sorts of gadgets, and I can try to get these votes down to docs using a teleporting machine that one of the engineering students built. Hang on.
Alright, here is the machine. Unfortunately, this is short distance. I can't get it all the way to docs, but I have a helper, so let me get these votes up to New Hampshire to our team captain of Expedition Season 2, Ethan Zong.
Yo, James, I just got a postcard from the Edge that says, look under logs for votes. You have a pretty sick sense of humor, my friend. I love it. But anyway, here we go. The votes are here. Off to Jess. Here you go.
Thanks, Ethan. Ooh, we gotta sneak these across the border. Just gotta disguise it, so no one steals it. Perfect. Need a lift.
Alright, so Jess has this set up. This helicopter's gonna drop this thing off in my backyard. I've gotta try to catch it to secure the votes. See how it goes. Oh, got it! Alright, I sent it off to Sam in Minnesota.
Thanks for giving me the vote. I'm bringing them your way, Jay, right now. I don't trust these to any mailbox or anything like that, so they're coming personal, but holy crap, you live a far ways away. Sheesh.
Hey, this is Jay coming at you from Chicago. As you can see the beam behind me. Just wanted to get those votes from Sam and pass them along to Qua. Congratulations to the winner.
Hey Jay, thanks for the votes. Now I'm on my way to send them off.
Thanks for the urn. Here, Trey.
Give it to me. Here you go, Janet.
Hey, I'm Janet from Island of the Idols. Hey, Trey, give me the votes. Here you go, Danny.
Thank you so much, Janet. It's really hard walking through the forest with a shot in my hand, but oh, what is this? Oh, this is really good. Go take the results. Cheers to the winner. Ooh, we are all winners.
Greetings, explorers. Let's see who won.
Doc, wake up. The final votes are in.
Oh my god, I need to get to the final ascent. Can you give me a ride?
You can't drive.
You can't drive? Fine, I'll figure out my own way to get there. Can I borrow your bike?
Sure, whatever.
Awesome. I need to pick up a little bit of speed here. I gotta get ready. I gotta get ready. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Back at the final ascent live. Back where we belong. Thanks for dressing up, guys. I have the votes right here. These are the final votes. They took a long journey. I just want you guys to know and everybody to appreciate why they took such a long journey. It's because it's a group effort to do what we do, and everybody worked really hard. They do this for fun, and I just want to thank everybody for their hard work getting this season 2 where it is today. Thank you very much for everything. And to the season 2 cast, you guys were amazing. It was so much fun watching you play. You guys played hard. You were into it, and you showed you were very gracious with each other, and we really appreciated that too. And so, just a round of applause for everybody behind the scenes and everybody who played season 2. We did have a charity component to this season. So right before we went live tonight, I think we were at $1,029 for the season. Want to tell you guys how we're going to break this down. We're doing 40% of the charity pot. It's going to the team captain's charity. We know that's Janet because all 3 of these guys are from Team Janet. We are putting 25% of the charity pot to the charity by the captain who didn't win. That's Ethan. What we don't know is who's going to be the ultimate explorer, and the remaining 35% of the pool is going to go to the charity chosen by the ultimate explorer. So, I don't like to kick down the fourth wall for all you purists out there, but it's kind of obvious. About 5 minutes ago, I had a full beard. Now I don't. It has been 2.5 months since we've seen these guys. It was March 16th when we recorded the final ascent. It's May 30th. I don't know the votes. You don't know the votes. We're in this together. So what's a few more minutes? Let's talk to you guys. How are you feeling right now? Rob, can you describe your feelings?
You know what? I'm feeling great. I'm excited and ready for the relief of having this all be finished once and for all. I think I have like a rough idea of where the votes landed. I don't think a lot of them are in my court. And you know what? I'm at peace with that. I'm good.
Daniel, what's going through your head?
Well, I've spent the last couple months replaying roughly every minute of this game over in my head. So I think at this point I'm ready. I think that whoever wins this will have really earned it. I watching it back was really interesting because, for lack of a better term, I kind of saw how the sausage was made with Justin's game, and I thought it was really interesting. So I think I have an outside shot at winning today, but in the event Justin wins, I think, it couldn't have gone to a more deserving person.
I appreciate that, and it is good that you're saying that you've reflected for 2.5 months, because after we read the votes, we are going to have... What's up, Ethan? We're going to have... We're going to review. We're going to have a full cast reunion, and when we have the cast reunion, I'm going to ask you some questions that maybe you've already answered in your final ascent, and see if they're changed. Justin, sorry guys, I like live TV. What can you do? Or live streaming. We're good. Justin, what has it been like waiting 2.5 months for these results?
Oh my god. Excruciating, and then you just keep dragging it out.
Yeah, it was only a couple more minutes.
No, yeah, that's fine.
All right, but talk to me about the wait. Is it really excruciating?
Yeah, I've been watching each of the episodes live, and I'm like, oh, this is what I almost cursed again. Like, this is what I effed up on here. This is what I could have done better here. All right, it's all over, so I can't change it now. I just want to know how it actually ends.
All right, well, we're almost there. We're about to read these votes, but before we do, I got to tell you guys something. We had an anonymous donor that just came in and said, I want to donate not to the charity, but to a prize. So we actually have $500 going to the winner. This was not something we had planned, but it is what it is. So you guys are not just playing for the Ultimate Explorer, you're playing for a cash prize. I'm going to ask you guys to
we'd
make...
have known that going in.
I mean, we didn't know that going in, so there was no way for you to know that going in. I know you've waited a long time. We have one more thing for you to decide. One more decision for you guys. Do you want me to go through and tell you every excruciating detail about my day, or should we read the votes?
I'd love to hear about your day.
Thank you, Rob. And that's what I like about you.
Rob beat me to the punch on that line.
Yeah, I'm
You know what?
good with not.
These two, they wouldn't have to ask about your day. But you know what? I'm here for a good time.
Well, it was boring. My day was boring. Let's get to the exciting part. Ready? I'm doing this. I'm learning this the same time you guys are. These were sent by Shane through our couriers. All right, I have the instructions for the order of reading the votes. All right. Thank you, Shane. Very thorough. Put the stack face down. Nothing's out of order. We have 8 votes. The person with the most votes will be crowned the Ultimate Explorer for season number 2. Our first vote is for Justin. That's 1 vote, Justin. Our second vote is for Justin. That's 2 for Justin. Our third vote is for Daniel. That's 2 Justin, 1 Daniel. Our fourth vote is for Daniel. We have a tie. 2 votes Justin, 2 votes Daniel. I have 4 more votes to go. Our fifth vote is for Daniel. That's 3 votes Daniel, 2 votes Justin. Our sixth vote is for Justin. We have a tie. We are 3-3. 3 Daniel, 3 Justin, 2 votes remaining. Our seventh vote is for Justin. That's 4 votes Justin, 3 votes Daniel, 1 vote remaining. And our last vote says, Scorpios are crazy, but when we make up our mind, it's tunnel vision. Justin, congratulations, Justin. You have won Season 2 Expedition Online. Let's get your castmates in here. Turn on your cameras. Unmute your mics.
Good job, Justin!
Tell me who won yet.
Congrats, Justin. Well deserved.
Justin.
I had a feeling I was going to
Yay!
Go, Justin!
Yes!
Everyone out!
Let's check out the final votes video, and when we come back, we will talk to the Season 2 cast and team captains Janet and Ethan.
Told you, Justin.
All right. I
Good
think
job, Justin.
everyone said
proud
what
of
they
you.
could say at the end, but in the end, from one wild card to another this season, it's got to be Justin. He played his position perfectly, got to the end with the people he should have gotten to the end. I got no complaints for how he played, and good luck.
All right. Hope the jury agrees.
All right, my vote to win the game is for Daniel. He played a loyal, honest, and well-rounded game, and I am so freaking proud of him.
So for tonight, I'm voting Justin to win, just because I love your chaotic playstyle. I love whenever things get stressful and messy, and that's exactly how you played, and I admire that.
Well, I hope it's you. Okay.
I know what it's like to be on the outs. I was on the outs for most of the game, and I know how difficult it is to survive night after night. Daniel and Rob have been in the comfortable majority the entire season, so my vote for the winner is going to Justin. Congratulations.
All right, I'm basing my vote on I feel that the winner of this game needs to have all three criteria. You got to be very social, you have to be very competitive, and very strategic. And I feel this person had all three. So I vote for Daniel to win this game. Good luck, brother.
So I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anybody. My vote is for Daniel. I think you played the best game. I mean, in terms of our personal relationship aside, I think you played the best game and you owned those answers. So best of luck, and no matter what, you're a winner to me, and I can't wait to be good friends with you. Love you, man.
We're back. Those were the votes. Congratulations again, Justin, for winning season number 2. We're now joined by the entire cast who's here, and our team captains, Janet and Ethan. Janet, you represented Justin, but you also represented Give Kids the World. Ethan, you represented Safe Roots Foundation. For everybody who didn't get a chance to donate this season or doesn't trust us, maybe we can talk about your charities once again, and people can make a direct donation. Janet, why don't you talk to us about Give Kids the World?
Okay, Give Kids the World is based in Kissimmee, Florida. It is like Make-A-Wish Foundation. Families come in from all over the world. They stay for a week and they experience a week, a whole year in a week. Christmas and talent contests and Halloween, and then they become alumni, and there's hundreds of volunteers, and it's an amazing, magical place. And yeah, I can't say enough about them.
I agree.
You know, and
I visited.
You can go right online and donate to them. GiveKidsTheWorld.com.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Janet. You picked Justin. He's the winner this season. So you guys are going to get a donation for Give Kids the World. But Ethan, you're not going home with nothing. We're also going to donate to Safe Roots Foundation. So maybe you could tell us about Safe Roots Foundation. And if anybody wants to donate directly to that, tell them how they can do that.
Awesome. Congratulations, Justin. And Janet, Give Kids the World is an incredible organization. I visit it, and they have a big reality event every year. So I encourage everyone to visit if they can. But my team played for the Safe Roots Foundation, which is a new wave in teenage drug misuse prevention. And so we just launched a new after-school sport coach curriculum, which we're rolling out this spring and summer. So we're excited, and you can go to saferoots.org.
Awesome. And Ethan, Janet, thank you so much for being a part of this season. We really enjoyed having you as team captains. We really appreciate you. Great charities that we're playing for. Ethan, I know in one of your seasons, I don't want to spoil how you did for Ryan because I know he hasn't seen it, but I know in one of your seasons you won a sizable amount of money. Any advice for Justin? Like, do you have a good accountant for him, or?
Yeah, just give me a call. I'll hook you up.
Awesome. So thank you guys for being a part of this. We're going to say, thank you. The captains are going to take off. Does anybody want to say anything to them before they leave? Thank them for being part of this season.
Yeah, I want to say thank you both. You've got so much going on in your guys' lives. And this is just like a small footnote in like one of your many chapters. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your days to come here and, spend your time mentoring us, newbies on how to play this game. I really appreciate it. And it was all for the better cause. But
awesome. Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's an honor for me to be a part of anything that is going to help raise money for our charities. But this particular Expedition Online organization and the people, your mods, are they're professional. They make me comfortable. They help me, and it's an organization and an online group that I would be happy to be associated with in the future. Good job, guys, all of you. Very
Yeah, incredible
impressed.
job, everyone.
And congratulations, Justin, again. You were one of my top picks. Yeah.
First pick, Jen, just to remind you. Ethan, I'm sorry that my octopus joke took me off of your team.
Yep, it's okay, man. No, next time. In the All-Stars, I'll see you.
Yeah.
I'm there.
So, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being
care,
part
everyone.
of this season. And see you later.
care.
Justin, congratulations. We should talk about your charity too, because we're going to be making a donation tomorrow to your charity. I can remind you what it is if you want. It was Action Against Hunger.
Yeah, it's an organization that tries to make sure people around the world get resources of clean water and food, so that it's no longer looked at as like a privilege, that it's something that everyone deserves to have and not have to worry about it. So yeah, glad that they're getting the donation.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. We're going to go around the room. We did get a request from Gideon. He's got somewhere to go. We can tell he's in the busy streets of New York. Gideon, thank you for playing this season. You finished in 4th. It's kind of hard to critique your game, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's what I do. I just wonder with your journey, what did you learn from your experience?
I mean, the biggest thing I learned was I'm not an amazing, great player like I thought I was, but I learned that I'm adaptable, and that was the biggest thing this season was just, I did some real stupid stuff at the beginning. It was pointed out in the Blunt Talks. Make sure you guys go check them out. But, I made some mistakes, and I found myself on the bottom early. I climbed up. I tried to, I told Team Janet, ironically, when I was swapped over, that I just want to outlast all the Ethans. And that's what I did. But I really wanted to get to the end. And, it was a good game. I tried to be, tried to crawl my way out. But it was an amazing time. I had such a great time. And I really played a game that I never thought I would have to play. But I really just learned that I can play in many different ways. And I hope that one day if I do get on the show, I can definitely say that this has helped me out so much with strategy and social play. So thank you, Docs. Thank you, everybody on the team. And guys, if any of my people are watching this at home that are a fan of me, make sure you check out the next season and all the episodes coming, and keep checking out Expedition Online. It's a great, great thing.
All right, thanks, Gideon. I would love to talk to you more about, votes here and there and not sharing the information on the compass, but I know you got to go. So thank you. And I don't know wherever you're going. It's probably not as fun as this, but somebody probably made you go there.
Yes, I am being made to go somewhere by for a TikTok thing, and I didn't want to do it, but I really wanted to catch this, and I love you guys. I love all you guys, and I'll catch you guys later. Okay? Thank you, Docs. I love you, Docs.
I know. All right, we'll see you later. I'll also say I spoke with Jack this morning. He had a conflict that came up. He wishes he could be here with all of you guys. He wanted me to give you all of his best. He wanted me to congratulate the winner, and I said, I don't know who it is. So he said, that's all right. Whoever wins, I want to congratulate them. So Jack gives his best. And we may talk about Jack a little bit more because I talked to him about a few things. But let's go through. Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk with Will. Will, we all really appreciate your knowledge and passion for the game. It seemed to me a couple of my favorite moments this season. One was when you coached Gabe at the trail. I thought that was really awesome how you guys compared notes. And I also enjoyed when the captains were spying on you guys, and you were the only one who said your favorite player is one of the captains. That was great. That was a great moment. And and I'm not sure if the episode showed this, but I did watch your Back at the Ranch, and you talked about day one. That was not the best day in your life, and you know, I know time has passed. It's almost 3 months later. I kind of wanted to check in, you know, see how are you doing, and how would you rate this experience? Is it a negative in your life? Are there positives that you pulled from this?
Well, I mean, I'm doing as fine as I usually do, which typically isn't that great, to be honest. But and honestly, there isn't, aside from seeing Ethan, Janet, there really wasn't too much to enjoy for me there. So I mean, it is just. I mean, I'm good on the death of my grandfather, which is what happened that morning. So it was just a roller coaster, and then it was
a lot. It was a lot for you that day, and our hearts were broken. Like seeing you go through that, and then also having this on the game. Would you play again?
If work would allow it, that's because with the doing what I do, there are some days where I don't get home till past 8 p.m. And some of those days would have happened if I made it further in. So I mean, it's a shorter schedule. It would be better for me, but it's probably not play again. Maybe, who knows?
All right. Well, Will, we enjoyed having you as part of the season, and it was really great getting to know you, and really glad that you're part of the community.
Thank you.
Jennifer, you keep bouncing in and out. Are you here? This is like memories memories of day one here. Like you did survive the technical difficulties. That's very difficult to do in Expedition Online. You did survive a vote, and then you kind of got swap screwed. We did appreciate all of your energy from the pre-jury, your enthusiasm watching the game from the sideline. Can you talk to us about your experience and the time invested from the pre-jury?
I felt really confident with the people that I talked to in pre-jury, like Justin. So I felt really good coming into it, but then once that swap happened, I felt like the person I had to talk to convince was Garrett. And Garrett, you just look so cocky sitting in that chair. I could not bring myself to beg you. I was just like, my kids are older than you. I'm not doing it. It is what it is. It was fine. I understood.
All right. Well, we appreciate the enthusiasm, the chats, the participation. You guys probably don't know this, but Jennifer watched every single Crossroads, every single challenge, even after she was out. She wanted to talk to us after the game and give us her opinion. She was the biggest cheerleader after she was out of the game, and we're really glad that you also played this season. Unfortunately, some people don't have as long of a run. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Hannah.
I'm glad Justin won. I wouldn't have played the game that Justin played, so I'm glad that he won that.
And I'm sure Justin's glad he won as well. Hannah, you took the heat for the rogue vote early on.
Thanks, Garrett.
Yeah, were you aware of who and why in the game? Did you know that?
No.
How frustrating is it for you that How frustrating is it for you that your game came down to something someone else said that you're not even aware of?
It was very annoying, but it's a game. I didn't know about it during the game, so Garrett, I didn't hate you during the game, but I do now. I'm kidding. I don't.
I was going to ask if you had anything else you wanted to say to Garrett. Now's the time.
No.
It's a live stream, so.
No, it was fine. Watching it back, I was just like, I thought we were closer than that to let me die on a sword that wasn't even mine, but it is what it is.
Garrett, how could you? How could you? Hannah, all in all, was it a good experience for you?
Yeah, it was fun.
Good.
Pretty fun.
Good. Gabe, you had the absolute best shots out of everybody in the season, whether it was, framing with your cans, if you had a child in the shot, you had a cat in the shot. I got to know, were these pre-planned? Like, did you think all day, like, this is what I'm going to do at Crossroads, this is how I'm going to frame my shots, or is this like impromptu art?
Whatever was around me at the time. I just like to be stimulated, so I need like a lot around me at all times.
And conversations with me didn't do it. I understand. Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Well, we do want to thank you for donating one of your shirts for the charity. It's awesome. I'm surprised Garrett's not wearing it now, but maybe he is underneath that. I don't know. Where can people go to check out your art and go to your store?
On my Instagram, it's just my name, but the I, instead of like the letter I, it's like an underscore and a period. So Gabriel, but like that. And then I guess they can check out my website at deadsaintsapparel.com. It's all the stuff's up there.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's cool. Thank you, Gabe. And Gabe, you were the mayor of the jury. You set the tone perfectly. I feel like this was the most chill jury we've ever had. Very supportive jury, and it's all thanks to you for being the mayor. So thank you for that. Let's talk to Gabe. Let's talk to Garrett. Sorry, like I know the difference between you guys. Let's talk to Garrett. Garrett, thank you for showing up. Thank you for setting the alarm tonight.
I told her to show up late just to bother you. I thought it would have been so funny.
Yeah, it would have stressed me out. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
We did enjoy that you embraced being the villain this season, and like you didn't try to like downplay it at all. You were like, it is what it is. But I want to talk to you about how you managed the knowledge that you won the previous mini, and that you played with Jack. Coming in, did you have a strategy on how you were going to handle that, and did you have to pivot?
I had no idea what was happening when I was coming in, because like you all said I was playing. What my mind read was like, oh, if I'm winning a mini and they're saying I'm playing the next one, is that like a winner's thing? Like that's how my mind worked. So that's what I was like thinking going into the season. Then I get here, it's all new people, but I see Jack, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is really a different twist that I wasn't really ready for. And that being said, I was just kind of like all in on working with Jack for as long as I could, because I felt like the moment I do him dirty, I'm just going to be screwed because he can just blow up my spot. So I had to go all in with Jack and just hope that it worked out for me. And luckily, he kind of got swap screwed and kind of got rid of that part of my game. So I didn't have to deal about that too much. Sorry, Jack. But it kind of helped me in the end.
Well, let's talk about what hurt you sleeping in. You got 3 votes, and it's crazy because the game starts at 7 p.m. So sleeping in is very impressive. Do you feel like there was, like, especially watching it back, do you feel like there was something else you could have done differently there?
Some good sleep throughout the week, I wouldn't have gotten that penalty. I think overall, I really don't know if I could have done anything differently. I think the biggest thing, honestly, was that Justin wasn't there for all the strategizing afterwards, so I was fucked. I'm sorry, I was screwed.
So, this is not for kids.
We're not live? Okay.
No, it's
So,
live.
yeah,
We're live.
Oh, is it? All right. But yeah, I was like, Justin was my bank. Like we were talking about how he was going to try to keep flipping back and forth. And so I was like, well, the only way that this works is if he flips on this vote. But he wasn't there. So I was like, well, now I just got to go all in and get all these people I haven't even talked to vote out Gideon. So it was a Hail Mary play. And then there's a few things I probably like shouldn't have said that I did. But I don't know if that would have changed anything.
You had a fighting chance, and I gotta say, like, in Crossroads, I thought you had no chance. watching it back, it seemed like there were options out there, but it's like that's the hardest thing. You watch these things back and you're like, oh, if only I had known this person was saying that, or if they had come to me with this. So I do feel like that there were other options, but maybe you just didn't know about them.
It was weird because like knowing afterwards, like people said that they were really going hard for like Kyle, but when I was there, the vibe I got was like they're not about to vote out Kyle, like when they were talking to me and all that kind of stuff, and it seemed like most of them were, but then it seems like I think it was like Daniel or somebody else was like, maybe it's a little too early, and so it's good that even though there were like rooms to go for Kyle, I think I made like the right call to just pivot and not go for Kyle, but yeah, I don't know, it is what it is.
Well, let's talk to Kyle. Kyle, your name came up a lot in Garrett's episode. It came up even more in your episode. For me, I feel like you're a big strategy guy. You think about the game. You really early on even said in Crossroads, you're the leader. You know that paints a big target on your back. You play a compass correctly, and then you play another compass correctly for somebody else. I'm curious at this time, like, were you aware that you were just increasing your threat level every single day and you couldn't help it, or were you not even aware that you were doing it?
I definitely knew I was making the target on my back bigger. I came into this game not really having an exact strategy of what I was going to do. I was going to let other people kind of paint a picture for me, and then I was just going to own it as much as I could. I figured my game would be easier that way if I just played straight up and didn't try to deny stuff and end up being caught in a corner or caught in a lie. So I figured, hey, if they're gonna call me the leader, then I'll just play that card and I'll like just own up. Like, look, I'm like anyone that was on my party saw like I was not really calling the shots. I was involved in a lot of them, but I was never like, this is what we have to do. All I was doing is just trying to help our team win at the challenges, and I'm like, if that means I get that target on my back, but we don't have to go to Crossroads, I'll make that same mistake every time I play this game and just try and find my way out of it from there. Maybe I played the compasses a little too early. I should have saved them. But like I said, I had to play them that way to get to where I was, or I would have went home on that very first Gideon vote if I thought I was that comfortable.
I mean, it's really easy and really fun when you know how everything plays out to then talk about what you should have done. It was an interesting choice playing the compass for Justin. It was the correct play, but knowing that you had a high threat level, you're kind of getting rid of some ammunition at the same time raising your threat level, or you're not getting rid of ammunition, you're getting rid of like a defense and then raising your threat level. Did you have like maybe regrets or second thoughts, like a rough night sleeping that night afterwards?
We actually talked about the jury. I'm pretty sure everybody the night they got voted out slept like garbage. It wasn't until the next night or the night after where you actually got to relax and turn your brain off. But even if I don't play the compass there and I don't save Justin and he goes home, obviously the game's a lot different. But I'm pretty sure we'd start to lose the numbers, and then Garrett was kind of already gunning for me and painting a target on my back. So I was probably going next anyways, or unless I still have the compass and I save myself 1 week. But if I don't find another one, I know it's just a matter of time. I'm already on the list. At least keeping Justin, I knew we were going to have the numbers for a bit. And I just didn't think my party was going to turn on me that quick, because it ended up happening exactly what I told them would happen if we turned on each other too soon. But again, nobody thought that they could beat me, even though I didn't win any competitions. Everyone thought I was a comp beast. I was more of just a strategic beast that people didn't want to be with at the end, but they kind of needed me to get to a certain point, and they cut me before I cut them. So good for them.
It's just a game, and that's gameplay,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh, I love the game. Of course, at the time, I'm pissed off at everyone, but
Sure.
who wouldn't be? Like, I'm a gamer. Like, I want to play. I want to get far. But like I said, they just pulled the move 1 or 2 turns before I thought they were going to, so I wasn't able to pull a counter move or move before them.
But again, I'm the greatest armchair quarterback in this game. Like, it's always best to make the move before the other person makes the move, right? So, got to give them kudos. You did bring up an interesting question. You guys know I love the raise your hand game. The game was from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Is there anybody in this game that was able to turn the game off outside of those hours?
Not a
Rob,
chance.
seriously?
No.
Yeah.
I
was able to, like, if it was not between the hours of 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern, this game was not something I thought about. And that's what I really respected about the game, was that I was able to, like, say, these are the hours I think about the game. Everything else is my, like, normal life, which is great. And I really, and I was like, this is something I've never had in any other, like, online Survivor or Big Brother game before, because those you're always on 24/7. So this, to me, I was like, this is great, amazing. Yeah, sure. I may be like, oh, maybe here's the thing I should think about, but it didn't consume me like it had in so many other orgs. So I really appreciated this. Loved it. Could not recommend it enough.
Okay, I mean, I feel the same way. Chantal agrees with you. I am just going to point out for anybody who's just listening to the audio, Rob was one of 3 people to raise his hands. Everybody else strongly disagreed with that sentiment. Anybody want to touch on that? Anybody want to talk about the outside of the 7 to 11?
Sure, I'll go ahead. Rob, that's really interesting that you felt that way. I could not turn this off. I would be at work, bored in meetings, like thinking about strategies. Every night after, I would have to debrief with my roommate for about an hour, even though he didn't like know any of you and what was going on, just to tell him every little thing and like process it. So I admire you. I'm jealous of you. Even on the jury, I still couldn't get it out of my head. And every night I was like, I can't wait for Crossroads. I wonder what the challenge is. So no, this fully seeped into my entire being and there was no escaping it. So good for you.
Don't be jealous, because, like, I didn't win.
I'm still a little jealous. You made it to Final 3. I would have taken it.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you spoke up. It was really fun having you on this season. I love your energy. I love your passion. How difficult was it for you to write names down at Crossroads?
I think at first it was a lot more difficult, and then as we progress through the game, as you get used to it, it felt a lot easier. Yeah, some of those early votes, it was just like, oh, it was a little gut-wrenching. Is this the right choice? But then once you start doing it more and more often, you know, and our team won a lot at first. So those first tribals on days 3 and 4 were a little challenging, but once we got more into the rendezvous, again, it felt a lot more comfortable.
Were you able to separate the friendships you were making from the votes, or did it seep in?
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, there's definitely people you gravitated towards, and then, you know, interestingly, outside the game, now there's people that I've talked to where I'm like, wow, if you and I started in the same tribe together, I would have absolutely worked with you.
I hate to ask you this, but I have to ask you this. Your boot episode and your vote, you essentially voted yourself out, right?
Yeah, I Tysoned myself. That's what I would say
you
happened.
Tysoned yourself. I still don't know what happened.
Basically, I think I was being a little bit inflexible. You know, we talked about having an open mind and keeping it. I think I was so rigid and dead set on getting out Ryan that even when my alliance members told me they wanted to vote for Justin, I didn't want to do that. And, you know, Justin, great play on your part, because I didn't want to vote you out at that point. I still felt like I could use you and work with you. So for you to turn it on me, I thought was a really brilliant move. And it's interesting because it didn't show up in the final episode, but, you know, Justin did kind of come in and really manipulate me and say, yeah, I'm going to go for Ryan too. Let's do this. And that helped me feel comfortable enough to make that move. I think also part of that is, Justin, you played it very well, because if you look throughout the whole game, I mentioned so many times that I don't really trust Justin, and it finally gotten to a point where he had somehow flipped it, where we had voted together so many times that I did trust him. So the one time I wasn't suspicious of you was the time that you came for me. So it's amazing.
Well, that's what happens. Thanks, Jared. Chantal, you were a quote machine every single night during the game. Yet at Crossroads, you never gave me anything. What gives?
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I do have an outgoing personality, and
I see.
yeah, I was scared to reveal it, only because past games I was paints it to be something that I'm not, so that's why I kept quiet.
Okay, I love the show of hands game. Let's play another show of hands game. How many people during the season were aware of Chantal's voting you out because of your zodiac sign strategy? Chantal, this is a very unique strategy. How do you convince your allies? How do you get them on board with the anti-Taurus campaign?
I just lay down the law. I say exactly what their characteristics are, and then they agree, and then boom. That's that.
Anybody want to talk? Anybody want to comment on that? Like, yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where like we all come into the game thinking like this is how I'm going to play the game, and we don't focus on the fact that someone might be doing something really different. And so I think there are a lot of situations where I would just be like, well, it would be logical for Chantal or Justin or whoever to do things like this because it's how I would do it. But you know, the first thing Chantal, I think, asked me when we rendezvoused was, what's your zodiac sign? And I, at the time, thought she was just making conversation. But looking back to it, I think I probably should have read a little bit more into that question.
Yeah, you're walking into a trap.
I just want to say that I don't know who I told this to, but I said, if we don't get these Tauruses out, they're going to get to the end. What happened? Daniel got to the end, guys.
I'm pretty sure you said this to the confessional, to the audience.
No, I swear okay, then I just...
She told me about the Tauruses. I'm so glad I'm not a Taurus, dude. Like, I would have been fucked.
You told everyone. You told, like, everyone in the game and the audience. You're like, let's get these Tauruses out.
It's just in
For reference,
you guys are so competitive.
For reference, I was born on the very last day of Taurus, so I was like one day away from maybe getting to work with Chantal.
What's
your rising?
Could have
What's
been
your, like, ascending?
Yeah, we could have been perfect match.
If I was born one day later, Chantal, we could have been at the end together, and you could have been the one to beat me.
That would have been.
Maybe, who knows?
All right, well let's go to Maddie. Maddie, I feel like you played a really, really great game, especially when you were like in, I guess, the power position. Towards the end of it, the wheels started coming off. Maybe bad choice of words. How is your relationship with wheels these days?
Not great. Got some PTSD from wheels. Yeah.
I realized as soon as I said this, I was like, it's probably not a good choice of words. You did flip on Kyle early on, and I think you said that you wanted a bullet point for your resume. So I'm curious, especially like we've talked revisionist history, very easy to like results-based oriented kind of say this, but like you could have flipped on Daniel that night, and maybe like I'll ask you now, and then Rob, I want you to jump in as well. But like, have you how have you come to terms with not flipping on Daniel that night?
That's a tough question. I do not regret what I did by going to the wheel. There's a 1 in 3 shot that it was me. It could have been Rob. It could have been Justin. And had I survived that could have been a ballsy move that I could talk about at the end as well. So I also, like, if I had made it past that and flipped on Daniel, like, I am big on jury management, and I don't think I would have gotten a vote because I would have backstabbed him and backstabbed my alliance. So I don't know. I've run through the scenario plenty of times, and I still do.
Doubt.
But I don't regret it, and but I still don't like the sound of that wheel. The celebratory sound is not
like ta-da. Yeah,
like should have been like wah, wah, not sound.
I know. That was something that we did not really think about at the time, but was very much noticed. Yeah. Did you? I mean, the three of you. This was Justin's pitch. Justin was like, "Well, I'm going to vote against you guys, but trust me, I'm going to flip once we like." Did you guys believe that? Like on the revote?
I just don't think we had.
I thought he would. Well, he told us he would flip on the revote. We heard that he told Daniel he would flip on the revote, which Daniel told us. So I was thinking, all right, even if I flip on the revote, if Justin flips, then we're going to the wheel. That's it. Like, then
Yeah.
why would I flip?
So,
It's more
add,
likelihood of Justin flipping. No, Justin, let me talk, and then you can talk. There is more likelihood of Justin flipping on the revote based off what we had heard versus of Justin staying the same. Because that's the information that we had. And it's easy to look back after the game happens and to say, yes, this was the absolute right move to make. But when you're in the game, Daniel, Maddie, Justin, you all know we're only given the information we have. And so for me, it made sense to stay the same, thinking, yes, Justin will flip. Because otherwise, what? I'm going to flip my vote and then we're going to the wheel? Right, Justin? Because that's what you told Daniel. So that wasn't a right move for me. And it wasn't a right move for Maddie either.
Just like
and
Crossroads,
I would behoove you to give us some convincing information otherwise.
No, okay, so that round for me, from my point of view, I was fully. Yes. Daniel kept pitching. I'm playing my compass. So to me, I don't think Ryan and Gideon would go to the wheel for me. So the number one thing for me is I can't be the person that they split these votes 3-3 between. Because if it gets split, Ryan, I think 100% would be like, I'm not risking my game for Justin here. So I can't be that other person. And the best way to not be that person is to tell them all, I will flip with you once it's not me. So that's the first thing I had to do, is make sure I'm not the person that's getting their 3 votes. The next thing was,
right, but
Daniel kept saying all night,
you're trying to rely on any of us to flip,
you
don't do that by saying that you're going to flip. And also, Daniel, this is where my issue is with your game is that why didn't you play your compass when I told you should play your compass if you feel this is the time, and you didn't. And then Justin said that
was my second part of the
hadn't seen you.
Let's do short answers.
You know what?
The whole night,
I'll rest for Justin to speak his whatever.
Daniel was telling us he was going to play his compass. So to me, I've said for a while, I want to go to the end with Rob and Daniel. So I thought, okay, Daniel's going to play his compass. I will then, if it isn't him that gets the votes, the compass will be back in play. I have potential to find it the next night, or Gideon, who's found them plenty of times, has potential. I do think if Gideon had found it and won the challenge, he would have played it on me to get these 3 broken up. So my thing is, I have outs if that compass is back in play. Once Daniel didn't play it, I have no more outs. The outs are gone.
But
so
Gideon
didn't want you to flip your votes. When it came though to it's still an out for me though. When it came time for you two to flip your votes, I didn't want you to flip them anymore. I wanted to go to the wheel at that point. I would have preferred to go to the wheel and take my chance. Otherwise, if it doesn't go my way, I'm gone next either way.
Okay. I'm not hating on the fact that you guys went to the wheel. I'm not hating on it. I am curious why maybe you guys thought that Justin would switch his vote, but that's an interesting point, because I was gonna what my read on it, Justin, from watching the episodes, was that you felt like you wanted to sit with 2 of these 3, and you felt like the 3 of them had those seats locked in, and so at this point you just wanted to free up a seat. What I'm hearing is you didn't want to sit next to Maddie, because I was going to ask Maddie, did you feel, because I saw Rob and I saw Daniel and with Justin where he says that he wanted to go to the end with you guys. I was going to say, did he give you the same pitch? But I'm guessing not.
No, I never got that pitch from Justin.
Yeah, okay. So that fills in some blanks there.
I think the vote showed it tonight.
It was very much I want to sit next to you, like Daniel and Rob. Like that was Justin saying that to me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So my mentality was, like it played out, I thought my only chance to win was to try and steer the Ethan votes in the end. And if an Ethan was there, I don't think I get them. And I thought Maddie would take, like, I thought at the time Chantal and Maddie had a very tight connection that had she been at the end, I was worried that vote is off the table for me. So my thing was, okay, I can't be there with Maddie either, because that would take some of the votes I need to win. So these are the two people that I thought, okay, I have the best chance to get the Ethan votes from them.
All right. This was Maddie's question. Thank you, Maddie. You did a really good job explaining that answer, Maddie.
Thank you, Rob, for stepping in and helping me.
And I feel like we've talked about this enough. The compass and the wheel, and actually no, because I wanna ask Daniel and Maddie a question at the same time, and I want you guys to answer at the same time. Why did you guys play the compass at the same time?
We had no idea where the vote was going, so we were clearly both going to play it anyhow and give ourselves the best odds possible.
Any thought afterwards, or like maybe play the compass and read the room? Because like from my seat, which was a very safe seat and a very stress-free seat, like you guys did not. I would love to play poker with this cast. Like when a compass was played, people were like, "Oh." Like falling out of their seats, like just wondering, like you play it, then you say, oh, okay, well, obviously they voted for me, I
don't think people had that strong of reactions every time a compass was played, but I don't know. I mean, I think that group that we were going against that night was a stone wall. Like we did not get any ounce of information of where their votes were going. So it was just in both Daniel and my best interest to play it that night, regardless. Like, even if Daniel had played his and they were like, okay, great, like Daniel had the compass, I would have still played mine anyways. Because I
think there was like an equal chance of the compass being, or of the votes being on me.
Right.
And it was luck of the draw that I was not the target.
Playing the compass was fine.
They gave themselves the best chance.
No, I get what you're saying, Docs, like playing it in unison instead of waiting to see a reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, like just on the chance, like if Maddie, you play it first and they're just like this, then you say, oh, okay, well maybe I just played it right. Like, like Daniel, if you had not done this in succession, or if you had not done it in unison, but instead succession, would you have had the confidence that night to hold on to it? If you saw a reaction after Maddie played?
So with the benefit of hindsight, yes. But I think, honestly, one of the biggest reasons I ultimately didn't win this game was because I was way too risk averse in general. So considering that, I think it's likely I would have taken that option and played it anyhow. But, I've had that thought in the past months of like, oh crap, if Maddie and I could have like cut down the theatrics a bit, like we could have been a bit more sensible, but it was a fun moment.
I also do want to say, like, I don't want to discount any of our competitors at the time. I could see them doing the theatrics to throw us off the center of the trail, and that this is like a compliment to their game more than anything else. Like, I could see them saying like, pretending to be caught by an idle play and then pulling it through at the end. So why would we believe any reaction?
That's right. I'm just asking.
Strong competitors that we were with. Right, but I just want to make sure, like, these people who I'm like looking at the screen on, they're strong, good competitors, and I would not take anything that they do or don't do for granted.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you, DC Trio, for that breakdown. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan, I have a bunch of questions for you. You're famously not a Survivor fan. Have you watched any episodes of Survivor since your gameplay in the last 2.5 months?
First of all, before I talk, I just want to put a disclaimer out there that I actually just wisdom teeth surgery, so my face is swollen. I'm feeling so many things at once right now: numbness, fatigue, but mostly joy and appreciation for this awesome game. And I'm feeling really happy for Justin, Daniel, Rob. You guys rocked, so congrats. In regards to your question, I actually have not watched any episodes, but it's on my bucket list. It's on my goal sheet.
Bucket list.
Just been so busy lately. My bucket list, yes.
Yeah.
I was on a road trip and then back and had wisdom teeth surgery right away. So it's on my list of to-dos.
We're gonna
I've
talk.
seen more Expedition Online episodes.
I like this guy.
If that counts.
This guy, everybody loves Ryan. I love Ryan now. He's watched more Expedition Online than Survivor. Perfect. I'm gonna ask you 2 questions about the game. First of all, after the first swap vote, or after the swap vote, you took credit for Jack's vote. Do you feel bad about that?
I do feel a little bad just because I knew him in real life. He is my friend. He was the one who introduced me to this game and brought me on. We watched the entire season 28 together. So it was a sad move on my part, but just thinking game-wise, it made sense in that moment. It was me or him, so I had to turn the votes onto him somehow.
I talked to Jack today, and he said, "Don't feel bad about it. It was a very smart move." So you're off the hook. You don't have to feel bad. I'm glad that you talked about having a previous relationship with Jack. For me, it was really interesting that you're the one who called Jack out for having a previous relationship with Garrett. Were you afraid that like you also have a story with Jack here?
I honestly was not too afraid just because it was between me and him. Who else knew about it besides us, and it would not make sense for him to disclose that information to anyone. Since having more connections with other people would put him at a bigger risk, it would make a harder target. So it doesn't make sense for him to claim that he knows all these people in the game.
Okay, so let's shift gears away from the game and let's talk about your activism. You've been involved with the organization Stop Asian Hate. Kudos to you. That's incredible. Would you like to talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. So even before going on to Expedition Online, I've been following the train of unending attacks against my community for a while, against our elders, against our women, our children. Every case has me distraught and so sad, and it's just stunning to see. So I couldn't sit still, and I've been putting my all, doing everything I can on my part, through organizing rallies, raising money for the cause, connecting with people, and distributing like safety kits to elders here in Boston. I'm really trying to do all I can for the movement because it means so much to me personally. As the son of refugees, I hear these amazing things, these amazing stories, and how my parents glorified this country when they came here. Being in camp, they could have left camp after a few days because they received offers from Canada, Australia, France, and so they kept pushing it back days and then weeks and months and years. And when I asked them why, they America as the land of hope, of opportunity, of peace, and of safety. And when you think about it, those things aren't huge ask of anyone. They should be basic guarantees and freedoms that everyone has, safety and peace. Why should that be an impossibility? So it really angers me to see people treat Asian Americans as perpetual foreigners, as people who don't belong here because we're just as American as anyone else.
Well, it's awesome. Your activism is awesome, and we applaud you for it. And thank you very much, Ryan, for being Ryan. Everybody loves you. I wish I had 1/100th of that. But you know, we anyway, Ryan,
Thank you
you're
so
awesome.
much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you for introducing this crazy whirlwind of a world. I didn't know anything online games before this at all, and it's insane to see the communities and love and the friendships people foster through games like these. And in the midst of a global pandemic, you guys are awesome. So major kudos to you.
It's like
So
I said
cool.
at the beginning, it's a big team, and thank you to everybody on the team. Just in time, Rob is back. Just in time to go to Rob here.
Yeah.
Rob, final three. Down the stretch, you played up the GOAT label. Your words. You said it in your confessionals. You said it in the game. Was there a point in your game where you think maybe I take ownership of a move and, I've been saying this, or was it I want to be playing this GOAT up till the end?
As I was playing the game, I was thinking, hey, there's going to be a time where it's going to magically appear to me and I should be able to just like find it and say it. But the reality of this game is that that time will never show itself to you. You need to find it for yourself and take it. And I never did that. And that was the flaw in my game, that I never actually took the game into my own hands. I played a game that was very much get myself to the end, to final three, to make my pitch. I never took the initiative to say, I'm going to make a winning game and to, not just be carried, but carry myself through to final three and through to the Soul Survivor, or whatever our title is for Expedition
Ultimate
Online.
Explorer.
The Ultimate Explorer.
Yeah,
I
totally
never
different.
said at any point, I am going to be the Ultimate Explorer for XYZ reasons. And that's the flaw in my game. And, I'm still proud of the game that I played because I was able to make it to Final Ascent, which is a feat not many people can say that they've done. But my game was not one that was worthy of winning. And
So if you played again, would you play differently?
I'd play differently. Yeah. I don't know if it would get me to Final 3 again, but I would play differently. I would play with much more risk, knowing that there is much less, much less safety at the end of it all.
Right. Well, speaking of somebody who played with a lot of risk, Justin, you did a great job bouncing back and forth, working from the bottom, and making sure there was a spot for yourself in the finals. What was your confidence level during the game?
Confidence? Oh god. I don't know about a confidence level. It was more just, if these don't work out and I go home tonight, the worst that would happen if I didn't try and make this move, I'm next anyway. So I gain one more spot if I don't make the moves that I made. So
How many
I don't know if
nights
it was
did you
confidence
think
that
you
they
ran
would
out of
always
room?
work.
Sorry.
How many nights did we play? 15?
Yeah, 14, 15.
So yeah, I guess 13 because the first 2 nights we didn't vote.
Well, you got the clueless superlative, and honestly, like at that point when you got the vote, I was like, yeah, he deserves that. Like, you missed an entire strategy session. You seem to be kind of like playing that up, and then like as we got towards the end, I was like, wait a minute, this guy, like everything this guy's saying makes sense. Like your argument here makes sense. Your argument makes sense. Like, did you just get your footing, or was it like planning like early on to be like, don't vote me, I don't know what I'm doing?
Justin, if we were on the real island, I would listen to anything you said.
Okay, I guess it's a good thing we're not on the real island then. Yeah, I knew that I didn't, like I said in the whole final. I still don't know the terms. This is why we did so bad in the crossword part. Final Ascent. I didn't have anyone that was going to watch my back. So to me, until I could start finding footing as far as making moves that would work and make sense for other people to jump on board them with me, if my name came up, I was just done. As soon as my name would have come up, if my name had come up the first vote when Gabe had went home, I don't think anyone would have been in the rendezvous. Any of the other 10 would have said, no, I don't want Justin out yet. If my name had come up and it gained traction, I think that's it, I'm done. So I had to just make sure that no one thought of me as like, okay, we got to get him out now. And then when we made the move against Jared is the time when I was able to be like, okay, it makes sense for these other 3 Ethans to jump on board with me so I can start playing harder.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on winning. I've got a question for Daniel, and then we'll be done, guys. And then we can get out of here, and everybody can catch up to Rob with the partying. Daniel, at the last episode, you talked about, I guess you talked about the read on Justin. So I think it's fair to ask about the read on Justin now. Do you think talk to me about the read on Justin.
Yeah, I think the read on Justin was ultimately what lost me the game. I've spent way more time reflecting on this than what's healthy. And ultimately, I think underestimating Justin is by far my biggest mistake in the game, even past a couple individual moves that I regret. So I knew Justin was coming to play, and so there was no part of me that was like, this guy is just going to sit around and be an extra vote. But I think I underestimated his ability to really make a lot of things happen. And the time it kind of was that moment of like, oh, like this guy's got some game was at that final 8 Jared vote, which that is the vote I'm very confident won Justin the game. And I think I was probably drawing dead after that point. So it was once he made that move, I think it was like the exact point where like it's just a little too late that I realized Justin had a lot of game left. And so, you know, I knew he was kind of chaotic. I knew he was going to try to make moves, but I think he was a lot more targeted, and I think he was a lot more of like a Tony than an Abby Maria by the end of the game.
Okay,
to be honest,
nice.
I feel like Justin really cemented his game as a winning game. Honestly, when Maddie got out, like that's when he really said, "Here are my final 3. I have decided who my final 3 are." It's not Daniel saying who his final 3 is. It's not me saying who my final 3 is. It's Justin saying, "This is my final 3," and everyone else is just sitting by. And to echo Chantal, that's on period.
Well, that's a good place to end it. Unless anybody else wants to shower praise on Justin, feel free to jump in.
Also,
congratulations
on Chantal. She deserves it.
Hey, Shane.
I want to shower praise on the
Justin,
entire cast.
The vote has won season 2.
Good job, Chantal. You did great. I am so proud of you. Also, good job, Justin.
Just to be that guy, I just want to say thanks to you. Docs, I just wanted to say thanks to you and Shane and everyone, and Jonathan and everyone else as well. You guys put a ton of work into this. So seriously, it was an amazing experience, and thank you.
Well, thank you very much on behalf of the EO team. Thank you. We definitely enjoyed this entire cast. Thanks to all of you guys and girls and women and men and everything. You guys were awesome. We enjoyed having you guys, and we're excited to welcome you to the EO community, the SO community, and for everybody else, I'm gonna kick it back to Jonathan and Jess. They're gonna wrap this thing up. We can do shots.
One. All right, Jess, there you have it. Justin is the ultimate explorer for season 2 of Expedition Online, taking home a cash prize. Coming in out of nowhere, anonymous donor. Someone's loving the content for sure. But a great game by all 3 of these final 3, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Our whole cast was absolutely fantastic, and having Janet and Ethan as our coaches was just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a special thank you definitely has to go out to our host, Docs. He really put those explorers through the gauntlet and really made for quite a great show.
Yes, absolutely. Great host.
Exactly, yeah. And if you're still itching for more, make sure to check out all the bonus content that's available on YouTube.
Yeah, the Tribute to the Fallen will air tomorrow, followed by the after show back at the ranch with our final 3. You can also find other versions of our game like the mini Piedra de Sol, which will start airing Tuesday, June 4th for 4 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Also soon, we're going to begin our Summit series, which will consist of games that will run for 1 week each. Starting with our first game of the series, Kilimanjaro. I hope I said it right. If not, I'm going to have to get to it by that season.
So look out for those episodes starting in early July. Also follow our Instagram and our Facebook page for casting updates. There will be a general form posted so you can get on a new season.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's a game for anyone's schedule out there, so there's no reason not to get involved and try it out. Come out and play. So subscribe to YouTube, Instagram, keep up to date with all the info, and see those casting requests as they're coming out. So Jess, this is it. So for Docs, Shane, Jessica Herbeck, and the entire Expedition Online team, she's Jessica Martin. I'm Jonathan Dykes. This was Season 2 of Expedition Online. Thank you all so much for